Okay, so as I was moving from group to group, I had some similar questions come up and thinking. So I thought it'd be good to share them with all of you at the same time so we all hear the same thing. So the first thing that came up was maybe helping to better imagine what this connection that's going to come from the ones and zeros, right? So a quick example of this is take DIBELS, for example. DIBELS gives us a lot of different outputs. It could be Discovery Ed, could be MLPP, could be any of those. But if we just go with DIBELS, if you take the results of a nonsense word fluency test, part of the work Teresa and I are doing along with this is we're taking those nonsense word fluency and saying nonsense word fluency connects with what standards? Okay? So what happens then is you get these assessment results that kick out, and then so this comes out of our data management system, right, which here is called Igor, but you're going to have your data warehouse, whatever it may be. So this information comes out. So this resource that's also being built is going to bridge this data warehouse and the Edify tool, or the content, right? We're responsible for the content. Igor, the data warehouse, exists, and it has to make some modifications, but this Tableau bridge has to make that connection. So Teresa and I have to make sure that we take the end results of all the different assessments, whatever they may be, and we connect them to the correct standards, right? Because right now Discovery Ed will have reading foundations or reading skills or something that we've made interpretations of. These are the standards it fits to. So we're going to be very explicit in connecting it to these specific resources. So you're going to get the results of the nonsense word fluency, and it's going to connect to these specific standards. But we know nonsense word fluency, because it's a screener, doesn't connect to one standard. That there's 2, 3, 4, 5 different standards, or speaking of the ABCDs, right, there could be 5 or 6 of those even that might all build into nonsense word fluency. So a key piece we need to keep in mind is there still needs to be the art of teaching in that we find that diagnostic, right? So the screeners out there, we diagnostically figure out what is that skill of need, but at least now we've got a shorter list to decipher from, potentially. And now that we've further delineated that, we now can, whether it's a running record or whatever, now we have a resource to support it, whether it be teacher-facing or student-facing based on what we think or what we determine the student needs to do or not do, right? It might be a group, it might be my whole class. Who knows how it works out based on what your data results tell you. But so we're doing that along the way. But if this all goes off as we've talked about it, you've got a data warehouse that gives you results around these different domains from all these different assessments. We're trying to make that correlation. Then it will bridge it to these list of resources, and hopefully magically it'll get you to those correct ones in Edify. And then you can use them as you wish. That's kind of the very abbreviated version of what that looks like. Now, you've seen these things a few times, but some of them we haven't hit on, but I want to be sure to go back to them and reference them. The key documents back in your folder. So the first key document is going to be so first of all, you were in here to put in your contact information. You did this just before lunch. Thanks, everybody. We did add the Twitter handle out here, so if you want to go back and add that, great. So that's the first important document that we touched on. The next one is this, and you haven't seen this. Some of you have found it because you were asking the question. So what we did here was we fleshed all the content out, right? So this, for kindergarten, these are, pardon me, all of the the modules we need to create. All right? So for the course or the unit of print concepts, so that unit of print concepts, we have 4 lessons that will be available. The assessment items, as we kind of discussed, will now be embedded within either the student portion or the teacher portion, most likely the student portion, as kind of what I've kind of gathered from today, from what I've seen presented. It maybe most appropriately fits there, but not that it can't fit there. But then, so what this document is intended to do is this is where you're going to put down what you in your group conversation this afternoon, what you see you being able to do to contribute to the work. All right, knowing that we're hoping to fill all of these fields, not the green ones, but all of the white fields. There are others. If I go back to that spreadsheet I was just in, there are other names that are populated on there. Those people may not be here. So when you get into your grade level conversations, make sure you're considering them. So This person, for example, Beth Stenzel, kindergarten. She is gung-ho about it, but as I mentioned, she's in the northern counties. They had more ice days. I think she had 3 or 4 days added on. So she's working through till this Thursday, I believe. But she's used to distance connection. So if you gave her a call on her cell or emailed her for your kindergarten group, you can add her into the mix, and she would take on a certain portion of the work. Dawn Hovey is another one, and I think Teresa added a couple folks too that weren't able to be here, but look for this grade level identifier and go ahead and put that in, get in touch with them and make them a part of it. I was talking to the second grade team over here, and they said, well, she's not here, and I said, well, you know how the person that's not at the meeting gets all the work? Well, it's not really how it necessarily works here, but you at least get to kind of choose and then ask her what are some of the things that she can do, and maybe you have to negotiate a few things from there. But start with putting down what you're comfortable with. And most of the folks that we added are very flexible, very willing to take on whatever you see as a plan.
And we have, if you have some friends or colleagues that you think would be able to contribute to this project, there's money left over. We still have 6 spaces available. So looking at the grade level bands and where we're maybe weakest in, our lower numbers, handpick some of those people, because you want to be able to make sure that the project gets completed so that we all get paid. So you can choose somebody who's kind of a self-motivator, that's going to be able to pick it up and run with it with the integrity that your team envisions. Okay?
So don't forget that the tabs down below will get you to the different grade levels. Don't get lost on that. And someone requested the standards to be linked here, so I linked you to the PDF of it. I put that on all of them.
There's also a resource folder, or resource.
Yep, I'll go, yep. So I added this just to have it out there since it was requested. So the next one I want to take you in, and I'll go to that in a minute, Teresa, sorry. But you've got, so what I created then, remember they showed you the spreadsheet real quickly about where you're just going to dump your links in? So in the student-facing folder, I will put a spreadsheet. The one that's in there will not be what it is, so don't start dumping links into something today, please, because I'm not quite done with this. We just decided this morning how to, I think, best populate it for you. But I do want you to go into the teacher-facing side, because obviously if I do it for teacher-facing, I just have to make a copy of it and change the title, and it's going to be the same for student-facing as far as what you're going to populate for resources for the tool. So inside the teacher-facing, here's that scope and sequence. So I'm currently working on the first grade, I think, or kindergarten, sorry. So this is just for kindergarten. I will do first grade, I will do second grade, I will do third grade. And all I did was I took their template of where you're going to put things and I took those headings. So I put print, so this is kindergarten as the title indicates, and print concepts. So what I did is I just called the tab print concepts.
You don't have to worry about highlighting things. Mark has already done that, help keep it consistent and easier to find.
This does have little notes here about how to navigate a spreadsheet in Google Docs. So, and this would be frustrating if you're trying to type a sentence and it won't, or you're trying to put a space, so it tells you how to get the spaces in Excel. It's kind of different, or spreadsheet. But basically, I kind of, and I noticed this worked for Megan too, but the up and down view worked better for me instead of trying to scroll all the way across. So I kind of took the liberty of deciding that one made the most sense. And so in print concepts, here's your 4 standards. 1, 2, 3, and 4, A, B, C, D. And then all you're going to do is in the yellow boxes, she didn't say this, or orange, whatever color, well, this is a better, so this orange color, that's where you're going to be typing something. And the green boxes are where you would provide links. And basically, if you think about how those are, they just copy and paste that text into the tool. You don't have to worry about any of that. So you might have instructions for the teacher. Then I already put the standard there, put the time duration, that introduction, the learning target. And actually, if you're doing that lesson plan, I ask for all that in the lesson plan. So if you do the lesson plan first, it's kind of just copying and pasting from there, right? So the introduction, the target, the video. Then you need to put together that summary. And to be honest, that's what I did when I did the summer work before. I just took your lesson plans and I copied and pasted those fields into the text.